Hi everybody, thanks for coming back to Talk with TQ. I really love doing this because I get to talk to the most interesting people, and they tell me things that they might not tell anybody else, or that they want to tell everybody, so they come to me and I feel so blessed, so honored. Today I have a really great guest. He's a friend of mine. I know him as a photographer. I know him as a photographer and a videographer first, but then I found out over the years that there was something else about him, and I always said to myself, there's something about Bob. Now I know what it is. I'm going to talk about definitions of things here. Bob's here with us, Bob Buchanan. We're going to talk about definitions. Most people, I find, have a certain thing that comes to mind when they say the word psychic, but there are different entities of that. So I'm going to ask Bob to talk to us about those entities and also about his own particular gift, which is his blessing to himself and to us. Welcome, Bob Buchanan, to the show. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Tony.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Before we started, there were people who entered the room. We would say somebody's mother came, you know, and we can go there. But first I'm going to ask you some definitions. The word psychic is used almost like a catch-all, but not everyone that's a psychic is really a psychic. There are different entities. I've heard the word intuitive, and you taught me a word, Caul Bearer.
Right.
How do you spell that?
It's C as in Charlie, U Union, A Apple, L Larry. It's pronounced like Caul, but it's Caul Bearer.
Caul Bearer.
Right.
What is that?
That means I was born with a veil on my face.
Oh, okay.
1 in about 800,000 babies are born with veils, and hardly any are men.
Is this like a membrane?
They don't know what it is,
This
but
veil?
it's something on. Some are born with full veils. That's even rarer. But I was born with a veil on my face, and it has to be surgically removed. They say it's like a skin, but they never really identified it.
Really? Okay. So when you were born, did your family talk about the fact that you had a veil over your face? Did they know what it was? And
oh yeah, they kept it. They didn't talk about it much because I was born way back then. Anyway, back then they would, especially down south, if they had a Caul Bearer, they would hang them.
oh,
There's still a hanging tree in Louisiana, in New Orleans.
real? Now this
They were
is,
considered witches,
okay.
so they really kept it on a down low.
So they hang the baby?
No, they hang the people. Once they started identifying themselves, getting stuff for people,
Yeah.
that was pretty much their demise.
I think it's probably kind of scary when someone sits before you and tells you something they shouldn't know. How did you end up getting into doing readings? Because I know a little bit about your history. Let me just rewind a little bit. You were actually a police officer.
Yes.
Okay, and you're also you are a photographer. You've done video. You've shot quite a bit of film. You've done books.
Yes.
Okay, and then at this juncture in your life, you've decided to be, you call it consulting. You often use the word consulting.
Consulting, yeah. I try not to use readings because I'm not reading anything. They're messages. And I've always had it.
Okay.
I just didn't let people know about it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't trust it. Because there were two voices that I heard, and one was the worry voice. Okay. My first memorable experience, I was probably about 15 months. My mother put me in for a nap. She gave me a bottle. I remember it tasting bad. I remember hearing a voice, "Don't drink that, it's bad." I threw the bottle out. The milk was sour. I described to my mother where the crib was, where the room was, the type of day it was. She's like, "You couldn't possibly remember that." I'm like, "Yeah, like it was yesterday." And as probably around 8 years old, and a lot of experiences like this. About 8 years old, we're building snow forts, my buddies and I, and I'm seeing the computers of today. Okay,
Wow.
Computers they probably thought of, but we didn't hear about them back then. When my dad died, it was actually December 23rd. We were supposed to go see him in the hospital. He was not supposed to die.
Your dad died on my birthday.
Really?
Yes.
I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning knowing he had passed, and they called us at 8:30.
Wow.
Another time, I was probably 18 or 19. A girlfriend went to Atlantic City. She was cheating on me. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning knowing something was going on, and she was. So these things always happened. I really didn't want to hear the voices because I didn't know what was going to happen. I would be you know, my kids would be out driving, and then all of a sudden I know they're in an accident, and I was sitting awake waiting for the police to come, and the kids are walking through the door. So I really couldn't identify the two.
Yeah.
I spoke with a medium down in North Carolina. I was with a healer.
Explain to us what a medium is.
Okay, a medium will get entities that pass. I call them souls, not spirits, because they're souls. To me, let me just explain something right now, just before we get too much further into it. To me, there's three entities, you know, on the other side. I never get anybody, by the way, in the dark. They're always in the light. There's the divine spirits, Jesus, God, Mary. That's what this is all about. It's all about spirituality, okay? Anybody that accuses us of not, like, being anti-whatever, okay, they're wrong, all right? There are angels. Angels are a completely different entity, all right? And then there's the souls. So that's people like us that pass to the other side, okay? And they're the people that come to me. They come through like a curtain, white curtain in the back, and into a white field. If you look at it like a stage with a white curtain in the back, they come through that curtain. I never see beyond that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, mediums get, I like to say, a lot of people, and everybody's different. There's, you know, everybody has different levels. Mediums get a lot of people, I like to say, and just a little information about them. Psychics, I don't want to say too much about. Psychics, they don't want, I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact, okay? I've been told.
Yeah.
And you can think about it on a common sense level. They don't want us to know the greater future. Because if you think about it, if we knew the greater future, we'd probably get lazy or pick it up, or why should we bother because we're going to die on the 23rd. They just don't want us to know that.
Right.
So psychics tend to be power of suggestion, okay? Caul Bearers, we get fewer people, the people that brought the person to me, okay? And I'll give you a little example of that. And a lot of information. I do healings. Moses states in the Bible, and he's talking about the Nazarenes, that the call is here to cleanse the waters and heal the sick. Okay?
The call.
The call. Yeah, that's us, basically.
Okay. And it's spelled the way you spelled it.
Right, yeah. And I understand from what I've read, and I just started looking into this, by the way, I do word of mouth. I got a call from Carolina, North Carolina. I have clients all over the world now.
Yeah. From
North Carolina, saying, I understand you were born with a veil. My daughter was. I said, yeah. She said, what can I expect? And I kind of told her what to expect. And but I said, maybe it's time for me to look into it. I found a woman down in North Carolina. That's how I found out about the hanging tree. I mean, I'm sorry, she was in Mississippi, lived in New Orleans. Her and her mother were both born with full veils. And she started enlightening me about the call, okay? And she started telling me some things that made sense to me, you know? And getting back to what I spoke about with the people who brought to me, there was just an article done in a local newspaper on me, okay? 2 people so far that I've met with. Both told me they never look at the paper, they never read the paper, they just happen to pick up the paper that day and go to. It's a real estate guy that wrote the article, because I did a reading on a house, first time ever. Yeah. And they, you know, most people wouldn't read a real estate article.
Right.
And they did last night and a couple of days ago.
That's crazy.
Well, no, it's not. What happens is the souls on the other side want to reach people, reach you, whoever, and they've reached you, as you know.
Yes.
They bring the people to me.
It's so interesting to me. Do you find that this gift of call bearing, I'm trying to resist saying anything about myself, but do you find that you can predict something, or that you'll know the future?
They'll give me a little bit of your future path, okay? The immediate future, they don't go to like 3 years from now, you know. One of the things that happened to me before I actually was doing this, probably in the early 90s, I can't remember, the Japanese were they bought up Rockefeller Center, and everybody was concerned about that. Yeah. And a friend of mine, I was doing my old toys book, and a friend of mine and my wife were in a car, and we're going up to Cold Spring. I was thinking about finding old toys for my book. They were talking about jewelry, and probably right about here on 9, I just blurted out, this is in June. the Japanese economy is going to crash. And my friend in the back said, where'd that come from? I said, I have no idea. I said, but it's going to crash in October. And it was that October that it crashed.
Yeah, that's great. See, that's the kind of thing. Well, I think maybe if you know these things and you have this gift, do you feel a sense of responsibility in knowing these things, or do you just kind of just leave it? Is it organic? You just let it be?
I feel a sense of responsibility when I go in to do messages on a consultation, because, like I said, I do emotional healings, helps people move forward. Okay, so it has to be good for them. It has to be on for them, and there's a deep responsibility. Okay, I don't want to mislead anybody. And you know, I'm hearing voices. I hear them in whispers. I see them in a faded black and white movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, and then when they turn colors, then I know I say it's loud. Then that might be a point I might have to bring out.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. What about dreams? Very often people talk about dreams, and they can be somewhat prophetic. I can say that I've heard people say they've woken up in the morning with someone in their mind, and it's on their mind, and then they say, okay, I got to reach out to that person, and then they find out. Or you have a dream. Do you have dreams? In your dream, what's your dream life like?
Okay, I don't really get a lot of dreams.
You don't remember them?
But what I tell people, the souls can reach us. It's kind of general information out there that the veil is thin around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You might see your animals responding at that time, and that's when they can come through. I mean, they obviously come through with me all the time. But when your mind is in flux, when the average person's mind's in what I call flux, okay, that's my term. When you're just going to sleep, just waking up, when you stop thinking about what's going on or what went on during the day, or when your dream is extremely vivid and pointed, okay? Most dreams are disjointed. You get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and they kind of come together and make a crazy dream. That's not it, whether that's vivid or not. But when you see the person, a mother or a grandfather, and they're talking to you about something that's going on, that's a visit. That's how they can get to us. The little kids up to about the age of 6, when you see them talking to that invisible friend, it's not an invisible friend. I see it all the time. I had one real quick story. I hope you don't mind.
I don't mind.
I was telling a woman, I said, her 2-year-old son was there. I said, your grandfather's telling me he's talking to your son. Well, not really. I said, look, I'm seeing his cell phone. He's showing me his cell phone. He's talking through his cell phone. That doesn't make sense. I said, all right, well, you know, I'm sorry. It's pretty vivid, so I have to go with that, okay? Oh, wait, he does talk on the cell phone. He picks up the phone and he's like talking. We didn't know what he was doing. I said, well, that's your grandfather.
Yeah, I've heard stories like this. I think children are probably more intuitive or still tuned into their otherworldly side, I imagine.
Because they're not cluttered with all the garbage we have to live with, economies and whatever else we have.
Right, paying the bills.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not cluttered. So they know. And I have one girl, went up to 14. The mother and I were together. It was a party. It was her mother-in-law that was with us. And she says, my daughter says she speaks to her. I said, oh, okay. Bring her. She said, well, let's ask her. Oh, she's here? Yeah, she comes in, long story short. I say to her, you talking to an invisible friend? And I hear the voice says, tell her it's me, stupid. And they do have a sense of humor over there. And so she says no. And that's when I heard, tell her it's me, stupid. I said, well, are you talking to your grandmother? Oh, yeah, and I see her.
At 14?
At 14.
Wow.
That's rare. Okay.
That is rare.
The connection is what needs to be to help us get through. You have to, it's a stretch for some people. We have to believe that there's more out there than just us.
What do you think about people, like I know people, I'll say I have a friend and she's constantly trying to tweak the cosmic to find out what's going on with her. She walks around, I remember being recently in a restaurant with her and she was actually dowsing in a restaurant and I was kind of like, this is not, and I was like kind of pushed back from it. I just sort of indulged her, but she asked me to do it. I'm like, I don't know. What do you think about people that are so obsessed that they're casting spells, they're dowsing. Okay. It's like constant. They never can just flow with the glow.
All right.
Glow with the flow.
I'm not a ritual guy. Okay. When I start my day and I know I have consultations, I'll just say a prayer to Mary, ask her to bring the souls forward. And she's never failed me yet. Okay. That's it. Then I have a little thing I have to go through, and it's more or less to explain to the person what to expect than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of times now they come through before I even get through that. Some of them are so strong I can't even get through. You know, and some people burn sage. I'm allergic to sage, so that's out.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in that you have to do that. That's me personally. What other people do is their business, but some people do go over the top with this. Okay, they believe that everything's a sign, everything's a symbol, everything is, and it's not that way. It's not everything is a sign or a symbol. So you have to kind of scale that back a little bit.
And it's different for each person, I imagine.
Absolutely different for each person.
You know, everybody's got their own story of how they communicate with whoever their higher self is. I'm going to ask you a question about old Peekskill. Peekskill's a really old city. And so I'm just wondering if you have any impressions that you're willing to share about Peekskill. You shared a few things with me, and I was kind of like, really? I'm not going there anymore.
Okay. One bar directly across the street.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't, that's not my thing. I don't get this a lot, just to be clear. I mean, the house reading, I didn't think I could do it. And bam, all of a sudden all these revolutionary people came. I was sitting across the street. Bernstall, is it?
Birdsall House.
Yeah, okay. I was waiting for a friend. It was just myself and a barmaid. And all of a sudden, it's just like a moment. The place filled up with all these old souls, all these like sailors. So I looked into Peekskill, and I understand it was a port at one point, and that apparently sailors did go to that bar, to that building.
And the building used to be on the other side of the street.
Okay.
The building has moved, and I've heard about when you move an old building.
Oh, they actually physically moved the building?
That's what I've been told, yeah.
Okay.
It was on this side of the street, now it's over there.
That's rare for me to get that.
Yeah, I wonder about it a little bit. And in walking the streets at night, speaking of animals, you're saying animals are pretty much, they see things we don't see. I can attest to that.
Dogs in particular.
Dogs in particular. My dog up Division Street late at night is, sometimes it gets kind of scary, it has, at times, where, you know, she's barking at something, or she's looking at something, growling, and it's like up the street, and there's nothing there. You know, and then she gets close to it, and